That's what it looked like before I pushed it.
There we go. Well, hello again, everybody.
Or hello for the first time, depending upon.
Hello there, buddy.
Hello there, buddy. Shit, that was good, and I just completely.
Yeah, that was a good starter that we didn't see.
Kind of like the greatest podcast in the world.
That never happened.
Oh, it
That
happened.
did happen.
It just wasn't recording.
But anyway, so I asked a question before we started the podcast because I was like, I didn't want to sound stupid, for a better word, lack of words. I asked, what is the difference between I stand with Palestine versus I stand with Israel?
And I said, that's a very good place to start because I wasn't really sure, and I'm still not sure where this episode's going to go, because what I didn't want this to become was a history lesson, because frankly, we've done all that before, and if you want that, there's much better places than here to get that kind of information. We'll touch on some of the history because it's relevant. It is worth noting that of the many videos I've watched, along with articles that I've read, kind of prepping for this episode, it's worth noting Ben Shapiro's history of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict.
Hey, Haley.
No. His video was about 45 minutes long. Vox's was 10. You know, there's a... it's not a cut and dry conflict, but I get it because the internet has the attention span of a gnat with ADD, so...
Believe us, our shorts know.
Yeah, for real. It's bad, people. It's bad. Oh, and one note for the people who are liking, or more importantly, disliking our shorts. Please keep in mind that we're not the ones saying the things you don't like. So when you dislike a clip because of something that... Screw it, I'll throw him under the bus. When you dislike one of our shorts because of something Chris Christie says, that negatively affects our channel when we're making fun of him for it.
When you guys comment and say things like that, I just respond with, yeah, that makes sense, and I agree. Because most of the time, we do agree with what you're saying. We're literally just bringing you what they said and think it's pretty much stupid.
We're pointing
I guess we
it
need
out.
to be better with our titles. Maybe make them make sense, like to know what our true
if you read
intentions are.
Which
description
it's in the description.
It's kind of hard to get to.
Yeah,
the description.
in shorts, I get it. It's hard to read a description, but
also you can't put like a whole ass title.
Well, nobody reads the title either in shorts. So
yeah, they see a picture, and then they just start.
Oh,
scrolling.
believe me, there's a reason 99% of our shorts start with a picture or a clip of something else. This is all learned.
It's called algorithm, and this guy knows it.
No, I wish I knew it better.
He's getting that. You're getting there.
Well, I notice trends. I notice, and it still happens. We'll upload some videos that should do well historically that don't get anything.
I know, dude. And on top of that, I need to do more comedy little things because, like, some of the things I've been finding and cutting up and doing, they're pretty funny, dude. Kennedy, when he was reading that excerpt from that book. And everybody's like, oh, why would you agree with this? And I was like, man, there is nothing in this video that says one way or another, left or right. And people, basically the point of the video was like, lighten up. Granted, what he was reading was disgusting. It was from a book from a school.
I found
Senator
it hilarious.
Kennedy. But yeah, no, it was just his eyes, dude. When he finished the statement, and then I want you inside of me, and he just goes.
Well, but... So there's something to that because in my most recent video on RT, I did 5 things you may not know about Mortal Kombat. I put a clip from the congressional hearings that led to the creation of the ESRB, and he says, frankly, it's child abuse in my estimation. That's not me saying that Mortal Kombat is child abuse. That's me taking a clip of some old, out-of-touch senator saying that it was child abuse, and I'm making fun of him. It's a video of me praising Mortal Kombat. Now, I think in my video, people got it because of the context, but shorts are just the worst of the worst. I hate shorts with a passion, but you have to do them. It's a necessary evil.
Jake, you do know your stuff.
Most of my shorts you've done for my podcast. I had fun making your shorts, though, because I didn't know that much about Jagged Little Pill. But we're getting...
Oh, did you make a couple of them?
A couple, yeah. Unfortunately, the thing I lack the most of is time, because now I'm making shorts for Toon Talk as well, the podcast I do with Virus.
Oh my gosh, dude.
But Average Intelligence is my primary. We upload on average. We upload 3 shorts a day. We upload 3 shorts a day, and that's my primary. I fit in others where I can, but you know what? If I could,
that's not easy.
No, it's.
But you've got it down to a science though. When you're doing your editing, like you've got your hacks.
I've got
like,
a formula.
You've got your hacks, man.
Yeah. But it's still...
No one can copy that perfectly like that.
Actually, you can. I can tell you exactly how to copy it. It's quite simple, but it's still somewhat time-consuming because I care about the edit. You know, there's a lot of shorts out there that are just garbage that use, you know, like the templates, and people don't even... Like, there's some people on YouTube that don't even proofread their text in their captions. Like, and yet they still get 2 million views.
Or what about those, like, have you ever seen those creepy they're not cartoons, but maybe they're like cartoonish like people?
Oh, hello, little fella.
And they do just weird shit.
Hello.
Yeah.
No, you don't see him, do you?
Oh, see? That's what I'm talking about. Weird shit like that.
Hello, little fella. You cannot see this. You think I'm insane. There's the tiniest little spider who's come down from the ceiling. You want to... Yeah, that's right.
Hello.
You want to get back up there, little guy? You don't want to climb on me. You want to get back up there. Anyway, back
He's got
to...
a long-ass way to go.
Yeah, I know. That's quite a ways.
I knew I felt something crawling on me earlier.
I doubt that thing's so small. I doubt you would have even felt
Spider-Man. Spider-Man. Losing viewers by the tens.
Actually, we just got one. So anyway, back to this. So you asked the question.
Oh, yes. What's the difference between I stand with Palestine versus I stand with Israel?
On the surface, they basically mean the same thing. I stand with Israel means you stand with the nation of Israel, and you believe, rightfully so, that Israel, as a state, has a right to exist, and they have a right to defend themselves. Now, I stand with Palestine. There's what people... That's a little bit more nuanced, because there's what people think they mean when they say it, which is you stand with the Palestinian people, you believe that the Palestinian people deserve their own state and self-governance. But what it can also mean inadvertently, or sometimes vertently, if that's a word, sometimes advertently, is that you support terrorist organizations like Hamas.
Purposely.
Yeah, that one. It's in their founding documents. They stand for the destruction of the state of Israel and the Jewish people. It's written in their charter. It cannot get much more clear-cut than that. And if after what happened over the weekend doesn't show that, I don't know what to tell you. BLM Chicago, I'm looking at you. That meme that you shared is one of the most disgusting things I've ever seen on social media. For those who don't know, BLM Chicago posted it's not a meme, it's an image of basically a person on a hang glider with a little Palestinian flag on it. And it says, "We stand with Palestine."
Saw it.
Yeah.
Twitter.
I don't know how you couldn't know this, but what you may not know is that hand glider is very specifically pointing to the Hamas fighters that basically paraglided in across the border and attacked a music festival, where at the music festival alone, I think it was over 200 people were killed.
Yeah.
And even more injured.
And then many, was it children kidnapped?
Not from the music festival, but yeah, in general, yes.
Yeah. It's just like...
But people were kidnapped from the music festival if they weren't just killed on the spot. And I mean, Hamas is releasing these videos. These are not covert journalists that are documenting it. They are releasing it to the world with one aim and one aim only. They are trying to instill fear and spread their message of hate. And there are certain politicians that frankly should be ashamed of themselves. I'm not advocating for their removal from office, but I wouldn't be upset if they resigned.
Who, like Rashida Tlaib?
Believe it or well, I mean,
AOC?
but that goes without saying. They've always been that. The one that really struck me was Bernie Sanders, who said, and this isn't a direct quote, but he said that
do the voice.
I can't even say it without laughing because it's so fucking stupid what he said. Essentially, what he's saying is that Israel's actions in Gaza after what happened are war crimes. You know what else is a fucking war crime? Killing babies. You know what else is a fucking war crime? Killing innocent women and children. You know what else is a fucking war crime? Setting people on fire while they're still alive. You know what else is a war crime? Stealing people, raping them, and stealing them for the sole purpose of raping some more, selling them, or killing them to make examples of them in terrorism. Those are fucking war crimes, okay? And don't get me wrong. Israel, historically speaking, is not perfect. But to compare these two on equal ground is just...
night and day. They're two different spectrums.
It's not even on the same planet. Like, to put this into context, I can't remember who said this. I think it might have been Ben Shapiro. It could have been. I'm not going to quote it because I can't remember exactly. But they basically said, if you want to understand Israel's position, let's pretend that drug cartels from Mexico had been harassing over the border for 40 years. And then over the weekend of, let's say over 4th of July weekend, they pop over the border in several places, kill a bunch of American citizens, rape a bunch of American citizens, kill innocent women and children, along with military installations, desecrate the bodies after they've killed people, post the videos online, some of whom to family members of the victims, their own private Facebook pages. Yes, that happened. And do you really think if that happened, the United States wouldn't, like...
instantly go to war?
Not go to war? Are you kidding? Look what we did after September 11th. Justifiably so. But Mexico would be the 51st state in like a month.
They don't want to fuck around and find out.
But let's compare this now. Israel is still using not the knock bomb approach, essentially what a knock bomb is, because Hamas is an organization of cowards that hide behind civilians and purposefully keep them in buildings that Israel is targeting. Israel, historically, not just this time, calls buildings ahead of time, uses SMS alerts, like text message alerts, any app they can possibly get contact through, and tells people, we're going to bomb this building, get out. They call building managers and tell them to get everybody out. Then they drop a dud bomb, which is just a shell casing, onto the building to let people know. It shakes the building, essentially. And then within 15-20 minutes, usually, the building gets bombed. Has any other military in the history of fucking planet Earth ever gone to that much trouble to not harm civilians? I can't think of one.
Damn.
And yet, people have the audacity, and I want to be crystal clear. Yes, I understand that Palestinian civilians are getting hurt and killed. That is largely because Hamas purposefully hides behind civilians. And yes, I'm all for freeing Palestine. I want to free Palestine from Hamas, not Israel. Israel has not had governing presence in Gaza since 2008, I believe.
And was it another leader who promised something?
Oh, God. You have to get more specific. There's been promises happening since before 1948 when the State of Israel was officially founded. Because essentially the first promise was, back when I said I didn't want this to get into a history lesson, but this kind of gives sort of precedence. It's been a recurring theme, essentially, and I'm giving you the condensed version because it's way more nuanced and complicated. I highly recommend you research yourself from multiple sources, because what you will find is that whether people are trying to keep things concise or whether there is actual bias on either side, because I take everything, well, I take a lot of what Ben Shapiro says, for example, about the State of Israel with a little grain of salt, because Ben Shapiro is an Orthodox Jew. Ben Shapiro has a vested interest in the State of Israel and its geopolitical position. So, obviously, and he admits as such, obviously, he's going to have a bias in favor of the State of Israel. Now, he's been critical of the State of Israel before, so it's a small grain of salt, but there's a grain of salt. Like, I recognize the bias. But you also have to recognize that anti-Semitism is real and everywhere. It's not so overt these days.
It is out in the open.
But, well, I mean...
you can... Rashida Tlaib, freaking...
okay.
Ilhan Omar.
Okay, yeah, valid.
Like, those two women alone have said so much freaking, like, stuff that was just, like, completely anti-Semitic, that I can't believe they haven't been expelled. Like, they have... What even kind of privilege would you call that?
Well, to be fair...
Liberal privilege?
It's very difficult to expel an elected official from office. And I'm fine with that. Because these are people that are elected by the people that they represent. Now, that has some problems because you've got that, George Santos? That Republican representative? Well, he's the one who basically got caught lying about everything. Like, everything. Like, probably guilty of criminal fraud in some instance. People were talking about him getting expelled, and I'm like, that looks bad, though, because his people... Now, granted, they elected him based on lies. So I think what should happen in that case, for example, I think the people of a state or a district that elected him should be able to call for a special referendum to remove him from office and bring in a replacement. That I'm in favor of, but I don't believe in the government being able to expel someone just because they say or do something that outside of like heinous criminal activity.
I agree. I 100% agree. I don't think anyone should be expelled for what they say because everything should be protected under a freedom of speech. Yeah, I can't talk.
Yeah.
But that's the game they play. They want to remove people for what they say.
I know, and that's why I don't agree with it. Because
and I don't agree with that. But at the end of the day, like there have been people that have been essentially removed for what they say, like not. No, 100%.
Not removed from office, but like, hey, you can remove them from
social media
committee positions and social media. Social media, again, they're private companies. You don't have to like it. Now, it's debatable as to whether they should be treated like private companies, but that's a whole nother debate for a whole nother video. So, long story short, you got to look at the person when they say stand with Palestine or free Palestine, because some people genuinely do just want the Palestinian people to be free and clear and have their own sovereignty in their own state, and that's all well and good. But it's really hard to not take that seriously, but for me it would be hard because you're either a literal terrorist sympathizer or you're that naive and uninformed, and anywhere in between is a possibility.
And usually it's the latter.
Yeah, usually it's the latter because there's a lot of...
I don't really think a lot of people, even on the Democrat side, I don't think they're inherently evil. I think they're just very, very misled.
Well, so here's a really good example of that, and I'm throwing this out because this is where it's at in my mind as of right now. I have a lot of research to do on this, but I noticed an inconsistency. Like I said, I watched Ben Shapiro's thing, and then I watched a couple others. One of the big bones of contention are Israeli settlers basically settling in the West Bank. Now, it's worth noting the West Bank is in the eastern part of Israel, but it's called the West Bank because it's on the west side of the Jordan River, hence West Bank, even though it's on the east side of Israel. Anyway, Ben Shapiro was talking about how, and this goes back a ways. This goes back to like the war in the 1960s. So for a time, Jordan took possession, and it used to be part of Jordan. It used to be part of Transjordan before the state of Israel was founded, and then for a time during the war, it was occupied by Jordan. Now, what had happened even prior to the state of Israel existing? There had been prohibition on Jewish people from buying land when it was occupied by the Arab states. Basically, there were backdoor deals made. Some Jews still bought land in or around those areas. So, after that war, some Palestinians had settled in the area, and Jordan, there were lots of reasons why or why not, but basically some people had like valid land deeds and some people didn't. Well, after Israel took back the land at the end of the war, after they occupied it, basically any Palestinian Arabs that couldn't produce land deeds, and any Jewish people, or Israeli people, I should say, a little bit more accurate, that could produce old land deeds were basically allowed to come and take possession of that land. But it goes a step further. Because they understood that it would be very bad and it would look very bad, basically it was adjudicated at the Israeli Supreme Court, and what they kind of settled on was whoever had the valid land claim that was most recent could claim the land, which means if you were a Palestinian and you had the deed to your land, it was your land, even if there was a Jewish family or an Israeli family or person that had a land deed from prior. As long as you had your deed, it was your land. Now, if you didn't have a deed to the land and an Israeli came along and said, I have a deed for this land, the compromise they reach, and this is Ben Shapiro saying, I'm not saying this is concrete fact, but this is what he said. It's my understanding that the compromise that was reached by the Israeli Supreme Court was that if you were a Palestinian living in that area that was owned by an Israeli, you could still live there, but you had to pay rent. And they basically just didn't pay rent for a very, very long time.
Bam.
Now, I only heard about this from Ben Shapiro. None of the other videos, all the other videos and articles were just saying that Israeli settlers were occupying areas of the West Bank, and the international community considered them largely illegal. That seems like a bit of a gloss. So I'm a little bit more inclined to believe what Ben's saying. And again, every case is probably different. But considering that Ben has talked to and understands politicians in Israel, I'm willing to bet he knows what he's talking about. So he's either lying or he's correct and kind of generalizing, because I'm sure there were a lot of messy land disputes. Like, I can only imagine you've got a Palestinian person with a legitimate deed and property, and then some Israeli comes along and says, no, I have a deed from prior to that. Well,
that's crazy though. Like, I don't know.
Well,
I tried to watch those videos with Ben. I couldn't. The
see, but
from him, like I knew, like he felt it, because
he is kind of a younger Ben Stein, isn't he?
Yeah.
A little bit.
Dry eyes.
He's like, well, and then this happened.
I like old Ben Shapiro.
He's very good. He's a very good lecturer. It's a wonder he didn't get into it's not a wonder he wouldn't get into academia, because he wouldn't make nearly as much money. But
no, but the thing is, like, he could have still got into YouTube regardless, and he still would have killed it.
Yeah.
Like,
he's very good.
The dude was just meant to.
Okay, that just reminded me. I want to give Daily Wire some shit on something, and this includes Ben. So we all had fun with the Jeremy's chocolate bit. It was funny. But the whole premise of the Jeremy's chocolate was, albeit very tongue-in-cheek and very funny, but the whole point of Jeremy's chocolate was giving grief to companies for indoctrinating children. Now Daily Wire has come out, and again, this is hilarious, but for Halloween, they have come out with new microaggression size Jeremy's chocolate bars. Except, what are those presumably for?
Kids.
Yep. And what does that sound like to you?
Money.
Well, actually, you know what? I'll be real, and this doesn't have anything to do with the messaging. If
no one's gonna buy them, they're garbage.
They're way too expensive to give out for free.
Yeah.
But
I would have to be like, you want to trick or treat here? It's gonna be $1.
Yeah, for real. This year trick or treating will have a cover charge.
Yeah.
Because of inflation.
I don't want to lose $1.25, so I'll lose 25 cents. We'll go with that.
We'll split the inflation with you. But speaking of Ben Shapiro, so yeah, Daily Wire, like, you're kind of towing the line here. I get it's still a joke, but again, where does the responsibility end? Because Daily Wire is coming out with this product for a joke, and it's presumably for adults, but you're putting it into a heavy kids space now. And some asshole's gonna be like, "Well, I'm gonna educate my kids this Halloween. I'm gonna get them, she, her, and he, him bars, and it's gonna happen." And this is a legitimate question: where does the responsibility end?
A 7-year-old's not gonna care. They're just gonna see candy.
They're gonna get a real shitty piece of chocolate, is what's gonna happen. But again, I feel like I believe I can give Daily Wire some flack here, because your whole premise is you don't want companies, what would you call it, indoctrinating kids. You're on the line of doing the exact same thing, just in the opposite direction. So
what Pink Floyd said, leave those kids alone.
I mean, basically, and we've already had the discussion, which, holy crap, apparently if you say on YouTube that Hershey's is the best chocolate, you just offend everyone.
Oh my gosh. All the chemicals and everything's just so bad. They turn into Alex Jones on it. And I'm just like, listen, I understand there's chemicals and there's fake stuff in Hershey's chocolate, but nothing else tastes better.
There's not, though. It's fucking chocolate.
Like, and I'm not even a huge fan of Hershey's. Like, I like their chocolate. It is the best chocolate, but I'm not really a big chocolate fan.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But
it is the best chocolate to me.
Oh, and by the way, for all you people that think Ghirardelli is fancy, it's fucking made in Ohio. Stop.
Ghirardelli.
Which that wasn't the brand that... I don't like European chocolate. I'm just going to say it.
It was probably someone that just went to like a Spanish supermarket with one of those restaurants in the back, and it was like the Ghirardelli. And then they were just like one day making brownies. Like, you know what? I can make brownies.
I will say...
And we could call them Ghirardelli.
I will say this much. You can get a Ghirardelli brownie mix with a fudge topping. Oh my God. Best brownies ever.
I like brownies, but I like them small, thin, and like partly crispy.
Partly crispy, really?
Not super crispy, but just like partly. Like, like the good burnt edges.
Oh, see, no.
I don't like the middle piece. I like the burnt edges.
Oh, man, I'm all about the middle piece.
YouTube, what are you for? The burnt edges of the brownies or the centerpiece? Let us know.
We're so off topic.
And scene.
Which I'm kind of glad, though, because
my brain is spaced out. I've had my neck has been messing with me all day, so I had to take a gummy. So I'm just like, I'm also super tired. This week has tried to end me. Who? Oh, the week.
The week.
I was like, the tribe tried to end you. The tribe?
No,
the tribe.
Not the tribe.
Are you fucking with people at Crunch? all the meatheads and dudes just picking a fight with the biggest dudes.
There's a lot more meatheads.
Like, I got your back, but I'm pretty sure they're still gonna kill us.
You know what's hilarious though is Crunch is very influencer friendly. I will say there's a lot of tripods in there, but everybody who has a tripod looks incredible.
Yeah.
So
it's because they literally just freaking eat eggs and fart excellence. Imagine those farts, dude. No, they clear a room.
And just inspire everybody to do better. Everybody just leaves. Goes out and does some push-ups.
No, it tests their actual endurance because like they have to get away from the area so fast and keep going.
It's nature smelling salts.
Oh my gosh. Oh no.
Wow, this is just completely derailed. Completely unrelated.
I already knew this one was going to derail simply just because of the topic. Like, this is a good topic, but the thing is, like, there's only so much you can talk about it before it just becomes beating a dead horse.
Well, and for me, it's a very cut and dry issue because with this round, to me, it's very clear cut. Israel good, Hamas bad. You can't really debate the point. Now, I understand where some people are coming from when they say that Israel may over-respond. What exactly is your answer to that?
That's war.
Well, it's not war. Here's the thing.
No, I'm saying like Israel. Like I thought they said they didn't necessarily say we declare war, but there was something about war.
They I don't know if they actually formally.
And like, bro, they got the Iron Dome or whatever that shit is called.
Well, the Iron Dome is defensive.
I understand that, but I'm just saying, like, you imagine what they have, like, offensively.
Oh,
Stuff that they haven't talked about. Like, who knows what they're doing over there? And on top of that, Israel aren't they one of the nations that literally require each adult civilian to 2 years of
2 years of compulsory military service in the IDF.
Like, you know, that really, like,
well,
honest, that would make a difference in so many people.
They called up 300,000 reservists and are now at 150%. It's not conscription. I can't remember what word they used. Basically, like mobilization. That's the word. 150% because they had a bunch of volunteers. And then the best of the best people are helping them now because Ben was actually, speaking of Ben Shapiro again, he was actually in Israel, left shortly before all this happened because he was there for the holiday, and they left on that before that Friday because they wanted to be back home before Sabbath began.
Man.
Yeah, so he barely missed it, but some people he knew were still there, and he knew some doctors, and they couldn't call anybody with medical training, please come and help, and they were all out there helping. And that's another reason why, of all the information coming out, I kind of believe Ben more than anybody, because not only he has people from his own security detail are currently mobilized with the Israeli Defense Force right now. So he's got people on the ground sending him videos, sending him updates, telling him what's going on. So when you have that level of knowledge on the ground, I kind of believe him. Which, by the way, I highly recommend everybody. I say it was a good episode in the sense of the quality because I think Ben would agree, even though it's some of his best journalistic work, I bet he wishes he never had to make it. Basically, the episode of the Ben Shapiro show he did, it was a special episode, longer, where he was just sharing. I'm shocked YouTube hasn't taken down the video because he's showing videos that Hamas is posting.
He did?
Yeah.
Man, I haven't really... I know what's going on.
I don't recommend...
I don't go and search videos out because I don't want to see anything.
I haven't searched videos out, but like I said, Ben was playing some of them. And if this is what Ben is putting on his show, I can only imagine what's circulating. I don't want to see it.
I mean, I've heard there's videos of like...
I don't want to see it. I don't want to hear about it. Me. You can call me a pussy. I don't care. I don't want to see it.
No, I don't know, man.
And I think the people that are directly behind it, meaning the people who actually did it, should all be fucking eviscerated. Just,
I would say
they need to be wiped out.
Hole at the end and just drop them on it. Ass first.
Actually used to be a form of execution.
Or actually, you know what? We're going to line them up face first. Shish kebab.
It's less painful that way, but...
Through the mouth?
Yeah.
Why?
That's more instant,
death?
Yeah.
You know what? I agree. Flip it around. You know, the funny thing is I'm supposed to be a pro-lifer.
We were having that discussion not that long ago because I wasn't giving you grief, but I was kind of pushing back. It's like, but here's the thing, though. If you acknowledge that there's a line, then you can't say you're anti-death penalty, even if it's an extreme line.
That's why, for the most part, like you know how I feel about the death penalty. For the most part, I don't agree with it.
But you have the caveat of, for the most part, there are people out there who honestly believe, which I think naively, that the death penalty is never appropriate. What would you do? What would you do with these Hamas? I don't even want to call them fighters. These Hamas people, these animals that decapitated babies. And before you tell me it didn't happen,
it did.
Yes, it did.
Videos.
Yes, it did. Well, you explained to me how.
Like, who could decapitate
you explained to me how a baby ended up in two pieces, like that. Explain this to me, and you tell me somebody didn't do it. For real, explain it to me. I'll listen, and then I'll call you a fucking idiot, because you cannot be that naive.
That's probably one of the conversations I probably would lose my shit and like act like a stupid, wannabe alpha, like getting all big, like because that's like something I could see people getting really super frustrated over. If somebody came in, they're having a conversation in like a crowded place, and then they said, "Oh, just talking shit basically," and yeah, no, when it comes to children and shit like that, it's like if it was like full grown adults, like I mean, yeah,
That's bad, but
it's bad, but like when you start messing with children, and that's why in this country we have such a problem with everything else going on here on the home front with the alphabet clan, um, basically trying to target children.
and
Don't target children anywhere.
by their own admission, by the way, because before you call us,
They said it.
hyperbolic, they said it. Not all of them, obviously.
Yeah, and so we can't like put it in all of their mouths that they all say that, because there are
people who
very
did say
good-
it.
There are very good people who are trans. There are very good people who are gay, straight. Straight. Everything.
There's
It's
a
like,
couple of okay straight ones.
There's just bad apples in every group.
Correct. And it's worth noting, while we're on that subject, I am very specifically, when I'm condemning actions, I am condemning Hamas, not the Palestinian people. I think the last figure was 53% of people in Gaza supported Hamas, and even this is PBD with his numbers, and I think it's only like 42% in the West Bank. It's a majority, but it's a small majority, and you have to.
Patrick.
Yeah, Patrick's good with data.
He's pretty good.
He's pretty good with data.
He's pretty good.
But and you have to take that number with a grain of salt. I don't think it's that high, because there's got to be a ton of pressure put on the citizens of Gaza to support Hamas.
Pressure.
You also can't trust their election results, because is it really a vote if there's a gun pointed at your head, literal or otherwise?
No.
Once again, I'm really proud of that thumbnail, but I wish I never had to make it. I wish we were talking about gym farts this episode.
Gym farts.
Yeah, you were talking about.
I was making sure my mic was working.
There it is.
I felt like it wasn't.
It was.
It was. But
But
back
no.
on track.
But no, now we got to talk about this shit.
What, gym farts?
No, the other shit. And it's worth noting, after everything that happened, after all the atrocities that have happened, Israel's military is still doing the measured response. I mean, really? Members of the international community are condemning it. Bullshit, who? And if they are, what is their suggested reprisal? And then everybody's bringing up the blockade recently, the blockade of Gaza. You know why they're blockading Gaza? Because if they didn't, they'd be shipping in fucking more weapons and rockets. Hamas takes the pipe material that was given to them to build, basically sewage and water distribution, and they take them and they use them to build weapons. They take the money that's given to them, and instead of investing it in infrastructure, when Israel pulled out of Gaza, they left the buildings intact. You know what Hamas did to those buildings?
Destroyed them.
They destroyed them.
Obliterated.
Yep. Burned them all down. Destroyed all of it. There's a huge number of people that are calling, and I'm one of those people. I want a two-state solution. You know who else wants a two-state solution? Israel. You know who doesn't want a two-state solution? Hamas. They don't want it. And just don't take my word for it. Do some research. Go back to every time negotiations have started. Israel has taken every concession that I'm aware of. They've taken every single concession that's been offered, every deal brokered, even ceding territory. They have ceded territory on multiple occasions. After the 1967 war, Israel took the entire Sinai Peninsula from Egypt. And I think it was the Camp David Accords. They gave it back. All in the name of peace.
Because they just want to exist.
They just want to exist.
That's it.
And then I've heard a lot of people, including Dennis Prager, Ben Shapiro, also non-Jewish people have said this, and it's just stuck with me because it's so incredibly true. It's a rhetorical question. What would happen if every Israeli stopped fighting tomorrow?
Be wiped out.
They'd be wiped out. What would happen if every Palestinian stopped fighting tomorrow? There would be peace.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
There would be peace. If you honestly believe that if the Palestinians, Hamas or otherwise, stopped fighting, that Israel would wipe them out, you cannot be that naive.
You know, with what Israel's dealing with Hamas, it's no wonder that they have a requirement of their citizens to take military.
Absolutely.
schooling.
It's necessary for them to survive.
Because the thing is, at any given time, this kind of shit like what's going on right now could happen.
Well, that's the point. And then there's also a bunch of reservists who aren't active, but they stay in the reserve.
And it's real stuff, you know? Like, I'm not saying the Ukraine stuff's not real, because it is real.
But
this is over something that's like completely different.
Well, here's the difference, though. Ukraine, as bad as it is, Ukraine at its core is a territorial dispute. It's a military territorial dispute. Now, I'm not saying civilians haven't been killed. Unfortunately, that happens in war. But it's not like Russia jumped over the border and said, we're going to exterminate every Ukrainian, and we're not going to stop until every Ukrainian is dead. That is not what happened. Now, it's definitely wrong, and it's definitely corrupt, but these are not the same things. Hamas, in its charter, once again, calls for the extermination of the Jewish people in the state of Israel. You cannot negotiate with that. And yet, Israel tries. Now, I'm not going to say that Israel's blameless in everything. In my opinion, in this case, Israel did nothing wrong to warrant this level of... What's the word I'm looking for? Barbarism, this level of atrocity.
Hedonism?
Well, hedonism doesn't...
No, that's completely different.
I mean, it's attached, but it's not severe enough. Like, yes, there's been a rise in right-wing political, right-wing politicians in Israel. Gee, I wonder why. Maybe it's because every time there's a peace settlement or talks of peace, they get fucking rockets shot at them. Now, I'm not saying that the aggressive response is always warranted, but I don't know, if somebody's shooting shit at you, I can understand why somebody might want to go bitch slap a motherfucker. And yet, Gaza still exists. Gaza has not been wiped from the face of the earth. There have been military operations in Gaza in the past. Some justified. Much justified. Some maybe had gone a bit too far. But I don't know. I wasn't there. I'm talking about this one and this one only. I'm sorry. Once you kill babies, there's no decency anymore.
You're fucking with like the most innocent like thing on the planet.
I'm just giving credit to Israel because after that, name me one other country that if somebody invaded and killed, I think the death toll is up to 1,200 now, but we'll just say hundreds to be conservative, killed hundreds of innocent civilians unprovoked, that other country wouldn't eviscerate, or at least want to eviscerate, the offending party. Name me one country other than Israel.
I already feel that way now when I hear about that sounds bad. Child molesters, raping and killing, whatnot. And I'm just like, okay, so like if there's evidence, instant death penalty. Like, and you know me, like.
But you're still talking about due process under the law.
I know this is completely different, but.
Well, this is an act of war. This is an act of terrorism, and this is also because I've heard a lot of people saying like, well, if you call for supporting Israel, not Ukraine, you're a hypocrite. It depends on to what level of help you're talking about. It seems to me that for the most part, Israel just needs people to stay out of its way.
That was what I was getting ready to say was to a point there was like I'm not gonna be a hypocrite. You know, when I said Ukraine, I was like, that's not our war. And then when this happened to Israel, I was like, I'm sorry, it's not our war. I was like, we can't afford shit right now. I was like, we can't even take care of ourselves in this country, let alone go to another country and protect you.
Well, you know, one thing we could stop doing is sending money to fucking Hamas.
Yeah, you know, like
which
you
which
want to
Trump
act
did.
like you're not. What, Trump?
Trump stopped funding Hamas.
Oh, I thought you said.
And then
I thought you kind of made it sound like you said Trump sent money to Hamas.
No. To get back into American politics for a bit, let's scoreboard this. Donald Trump gets out of the Iran nuclear deal.
And hold on, before anyone hears anything, this man
did not vote for Trump.
Did not vote for Trump, and he's not like a crazy non-supporter.
Really doesn't want to vote for Trump. But if it comes down to Trump Biden,
he's gonna vote for Trump.
I need money. I need money to live.
You know.
But so scoreboard. Actually, Trump's foreign policy I thought was stellar. That's one of the things I really supported and would look forward to again. Abraham Accords, go figure. They said it couldn't be done. Guess what? It got done.
I gotta get a refill.
Yep. So, but scoreboard. Donald Trump exited the Iran nuclear deal, which was insane to begin with. Spearheaded and made happen the Abraham Accords. By the way, anybody in the comments, feel free to dispute, agree, converse, what have you, because I'm by no means an expert. So let's see. We got cutting out of the Iran nuclear deal. Abraham Accords, recognizing the capital of Israel is Jerusalem and moving the United States Embassy there, cutting off funding to Hamas, which is a recognized terrorist group internationally and by the UN, by the way. Let's see, what else? Just basically says, Israel, we got your back after an administration of cold relations at best. Because I'm sorry, the Obama administration completely fucked that up. Sorry, not sorry. I mean, it was a shit show. Twas.
All right, what's our scoreboard so far?
So we got Trump has pulling out of the Iran nuclear deal, stopping funding to Hamas, Abraham Accords, which really should count for 3 because it was 3 agreements with 3 different countries. In Israel, you had Bahrain, UAE, and then shit, what was the third one? Bahrain, UAE. I don't know. It was 3 Arab nations. And there are current talks with Israel and Saudi Arabia, which miraculously have not fallen through yet. In fact, many people believe that part of the actions taken part was to try to get Saudi Arabia, which is why. So let's talk about Iran. So here's a big problem with news in this country. I've read all from legitimate sources, by the way, or sources that would be considered legitimate. I've read articles that said Iran was definitely involved and got caught being involved. And then I've seen other ones that say they have no proof that Iran was involved.
I heard they provided weapons to Hamas.
And then I've also heard that it hasn't been confirmed yet. So That's a problem, America. Now, I don't know which side's right and which side's wrong. I know which side I definitely believe in more. You know, I don't understand how you could think with a straight face that Iran wasn't involved. This level of coordination is not something Hamas is capable of, at least not historically, without help. Now, I'm of the opinion and the belief that what I read about Iran helping coordinate, and which to be fair, this has probably been being planned for a better part of a year, but let's look at the scoreboard for the Biden administration. Put us back in the Iran nuclear deal, resumed funding for Hamas. At least they didn't move the embassy back to Tel Aviv, or at least I don't think they did. Maybe they did. Actually, that's a good question. I'm going to ask that real quick. Did Biden move Israel embassy?
Is it Tel Aviv or Tel Aviv?
Tel Aviv. Oh, geez. From the Intercept, Biden moves ahead on Trump plan to build Israel embassy on stolen Palestinian land. Okay, so apparently they haven't moved the embassy back. So, okay, Biden gets one. So where are we at? Still at -3?
You're doing shit, Obama Jr.
And this is... Oh, Biden.
Oh, Biden.
Which and this further illustrates the Biden administration's inability to do math. Eric, I'm going to throw you a basic math problem. Let's say that you're the largest funder of terrorism on planet Earth, and let's say your country rhymes with Shmiran. And let's say you have a budget for food and medical supplies of $6 billion.
A year?
Yeah, let's just say.
$6 billion a year.
Let's just say that's your normal expenditure that you would spend. Now, let's say your old nemesis comes along, and in return for some prisoner exchanges, they are going to release frozen funds totaling $6 billion. Now, there are things in place that keep you from spending that $6 billion on anything but food and medical supplies. But I wonder, if you already had $6 billion to spend on food and medical supplies, and you're given another $6 billion to spend on food and medical supplies, what, pray tell, could you do with the $6 billion that you already had?
Food and medical supplies.
Anything you fucking wanted.
For the first, yeah.
No, you're missing it. You already had $6 billion.
Yeah, and then you found the other $6 billion.
So now you have $12 billion. Now $6 billion of that you can only use for food and medical supplies.
So you already got your food.
You still had
supplies,
$6 billion
so
fucking dollars.
Yeah, $6 billion.
So just because you can't spend, as if this $6 billion was somehow magical, it somehow canceled out the $6 billion that you already had. Like, Jesus, really? Well, this money's not fungible. Other money is, dipshits.
If it's green or money in any country, it spins. Like there's no.
The fact that these fucking idiots with a straight face, well, they can't use that money for terrorism. No, not that money. The other money. That now they don't have to spend on food and medical supplies, which, let's be real, they weren't going to spend it on food and medical supplies anyway.
You know, speaking of money in other countries, I just watched Catch Me If You Can.
Oh, such a good movie.
That was a great movie. I just watched it for the first time ever, and it was so good.
You know, when that asshole ruined check fraud for everybody else, now we can't do it because you exploited it so
and he gets paid millions of dollars each year because of the things he invented.
And you know what? I'm okay with it.
Yeah. You know, because honestly, the best person to literally help, not burglarize your house, but yeah, burglar-proof your house is a burglar.
You know, frankly, if you want a security system in your homes and you have an ex-con that you know is a reformed ex-con, is probably the best one to hire.
And, be like, oh, well, I mean, the attic window you got up there, you might want to add some steel bars on the inside or something like that. And be like, why do you think that?
Because I can crawl through that thing in a heartbeat.
Well, I think somebody would come up there and be like, who would? I would.
Actually, wouldn't that be funny? It's like, yeah, our whole thing is basically we try to break into your house.
Oh, man.
And then, but afterward, we go in and fix and reinforce everything. Oh, you're in trouble?
No, she was letting me know she's scheduled at 7-11. She's been door dashing a lot.
Okay, that makes sense because on your Food Hub video, she said she was door dashing. I'm like, oh, I guess she's door dashing now.
Yeah. That's what happens in Biden's America.
Jesus.
Everyone has to work all the time in order to afford things. Like we're literally starting to financially become okay again. Because this time, I would say a year and a half ago, I was doing so fucking well. Like, not even really working at all.
Could you imagine how much we could have thrown into our YouTube game if that economy had continued?
Dude, if I would have had the crypto money that I was making, we would have had, brand new everything. It wouldn't even have been a freaking issue.
But not only that, we would have had more time. Although, you know what? I'm tempted. Well, I'll tell you off air because it has nothing to do with what we're talking about. But I'm tempted to make a major move, and I'm...
Yeah, you're going to have to talk.
Yeah, I'm going to have to talk to you. I got to look at rental rates and see if there's something reasonable I can find. But anyway. So, yeah, Israel. So, scoreboard.
Scoreboard.
Now, and this is purely conjecture and my belief, I think a large part of what motivated Hamas to do this attack when they did is the lack of leadership in the Biden administration. Hardcore.
This is this is just
It's
the
Ukraine
same
all over again.
Is just the same as Putin doing what he did, because the thing is we do not have strong leadership, and he's not worried about a retaliation because he knows there's not going to be one. And at the end of the day, none of us really want a retaliation. We just didn't want them to do it in the first place. And if there was strong leadership in place in the first place, it would have happened.
Well, and that's where Trump was truly, I think my favorite part of the Trump administration, well, selfishly, I'm going to say the economy, but a close second, or actually probably from a political standpoint.
He was unpredictable.
Well, that's the thing, though. He was very predictable, and here's what I mean by that. The Trump administration's foreign policy was just impeccable and scared a lot of people, but you have to compare. Like, we'll use Israel as an example. Up until the Trump administration, the main sort of modus operandi of relations between Israel and Palestine were Israel's going to make a bunch of concessions, and we're going to hope that the Palestinian Authority is okay with it, or that Hamas is okay with it, except they never took the deals. Trump comes along and says, you know what, there are certain things that are just off the table. Point blank off the table. And the primary goal here is economic development and recognition of Israel as a state between Israel and other Arab nations, which is how the Abraham Accords were born. And it turns out people like money. And I don't mean that from a dirty capitalist sensation. I mean economic development makes everyone's lives better. Point blank. It's the reason capitalism has lifted more people out of poverty than any other economic system in the history, and in record time too, than any other system in the world.
Because just like Enterprise Rent-A-Car, they give you the tools to succeed.
They give you the tools to succeed.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, totally stole that from Step Brothers. And I'm going to get a job at Enterprise Rent-A-Car, and because they give you the tools to succeed. Why can I not say that?
Succeed.
I'm saying seed.
Succeed.
Succeed.
You gotta suck the seed.
Oh, jeez. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Jesus.
This wasn't as bad as we thought it was.
No, it wasn't, because we're making some points.
Yeah, like there's just not a whole lot to go on right now. Like it's basically just a disgust podcast of how disgusted we are with Hamas and the shit they're doing.
Which the other thing I'm going to do, and I meant to do this beforehand, so I apologize because I didn't get a chance to send you the information. There are about 5 organizations that I found that if you want to help Israel, and just to be clear, pretty much all of this is humanitarian aid. It's not going to the military. They don't need it, frankly. But there's a lot of things.
No, Israel country, they have very good.
Well, and let's not sugarcoat it. Israel gets a lot of aid from the United States, just kind of as part of the regular budget.
And so does Ukraine, for that matter.
Well, Ukraine's getting a lot of extra funding. And you know what? I'm okay with Israel getting funding because, and this is something a lot of people don't know, the pharmaceutical industry, huge in Israel. Huge in Israel.
So that's where all the pills come from?
A lot of them. No, not make everybody sick. There's a lot of these medications come out of Israel that save lives on a daily basis.
Like what medications?
I can look here.
I would advocate for everybody to get off all medications.
No,
if they can.
If they can, yes.
Dietary wise, because the thing is, obviously, if you have to, take a medication for something, life threatening, I get it.
Well, it's not just medicines; it's medical procedures
I'm
as well.
talking people on like insulin. If they're type 2 diabetic, type 1s are different.
Okay, here we go. Top 12 most amazing Israeli medical advances. So this isn't just medications. This is also come on.
The research and development, G.
Okay, Apifix. The Apifix system to correct severe curvature of the spine, scoliosis, minimizes risks, scar size, complications, recovery time, and cost. The miniature ratchet mechanism has successfully been implanted in 15 patients so far. Limited sale of product begun while clinical trials are in the last stages. So that's brand spanking new. Look at that.
Dude, you know how that works?
Yeah.
They literally put things in, and they basically pull your spine aligned.
Yeah, but, I mean, look at how small that is compared to...
Oh, that's amazing.
That's krill. Argo Medical Technologies. Rewalk Robotic Exoskeleton. Oh, that's real?
Are they creating Iron Man?
No, it's basically letting people who can't use their paraplegics walk. I thought that was fake. There's an episode of the show Glee where the character Artie, who's in a wheelchair, gets. Apparently, these are a real thing. I didn't know they were real.
Hold on. When does Elon Musk's Neuralink go into?
Already got FDA approval. We talked about it on which you haven't seen yet, but
Talk?
the episode that's coming out Monday, we talked about that.
See?
Well,
I'm
it hasn't.
behind.
That episode hasn't come out yet. That'll be out on Monday.
Oh,
We just
'cause you don't
recorded it
do
on Tuesday.
live.
Yeah, thank God. We recorded it on Tuesday.
Okay.
Gameta Cell, developing stem cell therapy products to treat blood cancer, solid tumors, non-malignant blood diseases such as sickle cell anemia, autoimmune diseases, and genetic metabolism diseases. On September 9th of this year, the first patient was successfully transplanted at Duke University Medical Center. The second phase 2 study of NIC-Cord, Gameta's experimental treatment for blood cancers. Number 4, GI View Aeroscope. Oh, geez. It's a disposable colorectal, that's how you say that word, cancer screening device, now in U.S. trials with many life-saving colonoscopy screenings, cheaper, safer, and more accessible worldwide. The self-navigating, flexible aeroscope removes the risk of perforating the colon, provides superior imaging, and can be used by a trained nurse or technician, so gastroenterologist does not have to be present. iCure Medical's iSense 3 has been used in the U.S. doctor since 2011 to remove benign breast lumps in a 10-minute ultrasound-guided procedure that penetrates the tuber and engulfs it with ice. Let's see, and then we also have... So this hasn't been a single medication yet, by the way. These have all been medical procedures from Israel.
Which I am absolutely fine with.
Exabile OR uses MRI-guided focused ultrasound to destroy tumors and uterine fibroid cysts without surgery. IOMed's BioWeld 1 bonds surgical incisions using cold plasma. Huh. You know what? That's what they used on my hernia surgery. They didn't stitch me or staple me. That's what they used. They used...
What was it called again?
BioWeld 1.
What the heck is it?
It bonds surgical incisions using cold plasma, so it's basically like quick freeze drying. I was paranoid as shit with that scar, dude. I was so paranoid it was just gonna bust open.
Is that that was what you had done before 4th of July that year?
I think
Because you went swimming in my pool on 4th of July, and you're like, "Well, I got the incision, but I think it'll be okay."
exactly. Yep, that was it.
I was nervous for you.
I was so nervous, dude. My first shower, I was like, "Oh no." NanoRetina's BioRetina, a tiny implantable device inserted into the retina in a 30-minute procedure, turns into an artificial retina that melds to the neurons in the eye. Activated by special eyeglasses, the device transforms natural light into an electrical impulse that stimulates neurons to send images to the brain. The prototype is advancing quickly through clinical trials. So basically, they're trying to cure blindness in Israel. So that's a thing that's happening. NanoPass Technologies Micron Jet is a unique FDA-approved single-use needle for painless delivery. Oh, for fuck's sake. Now, they're trying to bring Star Trek to life. Really? Leave Israel the fuck alone. I want painless needles. I want that to be a thing.
I'm weird. I prefer them.
Yeah, you are weird. Which, to be fair, the friggin' hypodermic needles that they're administering vaccines with anymore is like you can't feel them.
I like it. Like when you get a shot.
You're fucked in the head, dude.
I haven't had one in a very long time, and I've had to have blood taken. Well, like,
that's a different needle.
For the most part, though, it's like
if the nurse is good with it, it's like a little pinch at worst. Actually, the last time I got blood drawn, I actually like applauded her. I said, I didn't feel a fucking thing. You are great at that.
I feel like there's gonna be someone out there like watching that and just like, he said he likes needles, and it's like
no, I hate needles.
I do not have a drug problem.
I hate needles.
Maybe I do.
I've hated needles my entire life. I've just had to get over it because
it's like Goku.
I mean, so I had about my heart condition I had. There was a period where I went to the hospital probably, I can't remember how many times, but every time I would go in, I'd have to get blood drawn, so I just kind of had to get over it.
Do you like, as a child, do you remember that being like a big ordeal?
For a
Or
couple
was it-
years.
Because the thing is, dude, like being your friend and even being around at that time, I had no idea you had any problems with your heart. You guys like never said anything about it. And then I remember you came back from surgery and then you were like a machine when it came to running because you could actually breathe right.
Yeah, no, that was so it
And then
manifested.
you told me about it and I'm like, and it just never dawned on me and never seemed that serious because you didn't make it seem that serious.
Well, it's not like it was constant. So it would just happen periodically.
I know, but did you have more than just one surgery?
No, just the one for the heart.
Oh, okay. But still, it wasn't it. Oh, no, it wasn't open heart surgery.
No,
They
no,
went
no, no.
in-
Laparoscopically
Oh,
through the groin.
freaking cool, dude.
That and shit, that was in 2001? 2001?
And it's like, even though like we're like very much ahead at technologically, it's like still thinking about how they did stuff 20 years ago. You know, that's pretty cool.
And it's way better now.
Yeah,
Like,
because I had what was that? My appendix was about I had appendicitis, and I had to get laparoscopy. Like I was ready to blow. It was like ginormous. Like normally
Yeah.
it's supposed to be around 4 centimeters. Mine was like sitting at like 16. So it was ready
so
to just
yeah,
be like.
that probably hurt.
I had no idea what the heck was wrong.
Yeah, but I bet
thought
it
I had to
hurt.
poop.
I bet it hurt like a motherfucker though.
Oh, dude, I was bent over in pain. Like
Oh, I
it
bet.
was worse. I drove myself to the hospital still though.
You know what?
Because I didn't want to make my wife and my kids have to get out because it was a cold ass day.
So you're a man, basically.
I just
I'll be fine.
now you're a man, a man's man. Yeah,
there's been
that
a
was
hand.
horrible.
There's been a handful of times in my life where like I'll just be perfectly frank. I don't consider myself tough, but then there's shit that's happened to me. I'm not trying to blow smoke up my.
You're just like fuck with me, bitch.
No,
Fuck with me.
literally. So like for example, was it the second? Yeah, it was the first time I dislocated a
I
knee.
don't know who's liking, but thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I can't. It was the first time. Yeah, I walked into the hospital with a dislocated knee, and then like it hurt, but like I didn't have a choice. I had to fucking walk in. You know what I mean? And then I get back there, and the doctor kind of looks at the chart, looks at me, looks at the chart. He was like, "How did you get in here?" Because there was no wheelchair in the room, and I was like, "I walked." He was like, "No, you didn't." I'm like, "Yeah, I fucking did." He's like, "There's no way you walked in here." And I'm like, "Well, I fucking did. So what do you want?" Like,
Oh man, this always happens too. Like when we're pretty much about done.
yeah.
Look at all the views now.
Maybe I wish we could start later because that seems to be the trick.
Well, I think literally having a thing on for like 30 minutes prior, like I don't know, because I feel like the algorithm's like, oh, these guys aren't serious. You know
what?
and
That
it's
might
just
be.
like, why should I have to play my video for 4.5 hours for it to get views? You know, like
I don't know, but that's not bad thus
No.
far. That's pretty good.
That's what I was saying.
I just wish more people would comment and be part of the conversation. But
that makes it so easy to
But
riff off of.
but let me hear this. This is actually the one I'm actually proud of.
We love crowd work.
Yeah. Not quite.
We're not anywhere near that Matt Rife kid, but
Matt
we're
Rife.
just saying we're pretty good.
So I don't know. Have you ever had a concussion that you know of?
That I know of, no, but
No.
I'm fairly certain I've probably had them.
Well, I have. And because
I
I'm
have a really hard head.
a stubborn ass. Basically,
Oh, you're a man.
no, basically I got kicked in the face and I got knocked out. I didn't know I was concussed until much later.
It's actually scary though. Like concussions, man. Like you go to sleep, you might not wake up. I had a buddy pass away that way.
Yeah. I was gonna say that's not as common as they kind
Oh
of.
no, it's not common. You have to hit your head.
Yeah, you
like,
have to be.
hard.
But it's a good idea to not go. The problem is I got knocked out. Now, granted, that's the other kind of misconception. Like, you can be knocked out for a time, but usually it's only a few seconds. And as was the case with me, and thankfully I was wearing, that's probably why I didn't get hurt much worse, because I was wearing head protection, so that when I hit the ground, I kind of crumbled. I didn't go like straight back. I just kind of went, but when I did hit the ground, I was wearing headgear. But what happened, I got kicked right in the face, and I just got flopped back. And that's what concussed me, because I flopped back so hard, the brain shifted. Got knocked the fuck out, had a headache for like 3 days and a stiff neck for about 2 weeks. And then, God, it was...
How old were you?
16, 17. But it was way later. I think it was just a routine physical.
Dude, I'm shitty none of you got me into karate or anything like that.
Dude, I fucking... No, did I try?
I feel like I would have been...
Dude, you would have been a beast.
I would have been, like,
insane
with it.
You would have been a beast in competitive taekwondo, and here's why. So, competitive taekwondo, it's bullshit. Like, I was not a very good taekwondo fighter. There's too many rules and too many... Like, so, here's the bitch in taekwondo, at least in Olympic-style sparring. Punches don't count unless you move a motherfucker.
Oh, yeah.
But you would have... But here's the other thing, too. A lot of taekwondo fighters, like, I call it dance fighting, where it's not bad, it works for taekwondo fighting, but very few taekwondo fighters are good at getting inside, because it's not worth it, because you're trying to land kicks.
Yeah.
But you would have been fucking amazing, because you would have gotten inside and just laid motherfuckers. We used to punch. My school's philosophy was we used to get in close and punch hard to make them not want to come in. And then we could kind of dictate the fight after that. We'd also do a lot of thrust kicks, which if you knock a guy down, it depends on the judge. You might get docked for excessive force, or you might get a point. But what it will do every time is it'll make people think twice about coming in. Like, I remember I was in one fight, and I got punched in the face, knocked my contact out. He didn't get docked, but I landed one head kick that was a little stiff, and I got docked 2 points for excessive force. It's taekwondo. Head kicks are kind of the point. Anyway, I'm not bitter about it. I still won the fight, but I'm not bitter about it.
Not at all.
I still won, though. That fucking bastard. Anyway. I would say that, you know, not God have mercy. What am I trying to say? Like, I would say something to the effect of, like, best of luck to the Hamas fighter, because you're going to need it, but fuck those guys. I hope the IDF kills every single one of them. The fighters, the Hamas fighters, not Palestinian civilians.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you have to draw that distinction, but...
That's why I asked the question at the beginning of the podcast, because the thing is, I
hope Israel wipes out Hamas so that Palestinians can be free. Wouldn't that be the fucking the most motherfucking irony?
Like,
Israel comes in and wipes out Hamas.
If they go in and do that, and the Palestinian people and the Israel people come together, like, literally, isn't that would probably be like something biblical?
I mean, really, yeah.
Because haven't they been at war for, like,
not war,
war, but, like, at odds for a long time, so.
Well, since the beginning of the state of Israel. I mean, Israel's land right now is a direct result of the fact that after the British left, the area, I don't want to call it Palestine because it was the British mandate of Palestine, but when they left, it established the state of Israel. Immediately after this, basically every surrounding Arab nation declared war on the new state of Israel, and Israel just kicked the living shit out of them. So the land that Israel currently has, because they had less in the beginning.
Israel is like Leonidas in the 300.
Except they won.
Well,
every time.
I mean, Sparta won against that war.
Yeah, okay, yeah, fair point.
Leonidas died.
Yeah, they lost the battle but won the war. And technically they didn't lose the battle because the battle accomplished exactly what they wanted it to.
Yes, this 300-person bodyguard are like me with his folk.
Which, to be fair, it was more than 300. There were about 7,000 total Greeks there, but there were 300 Spartans. That's true. That's accurate.
Oh yeah. Like, all the other people, the other villages.
Other Greek city states participated, but the Spartans were the ones that made the last stand, which I think accounts vary. I think there were some other Greeks from other city states that elected to stay with the Spartans, but for the most part, it was the Spartans that made the last
Dude,
stand.
can we all just like show respect to the commentary on the movie 300 when they were talking about like the not the what were the barbarians? Remember, and he's like, they're wild and unreleased or something like that. They were sloppy.
Oh,
But just that commentary, it was so
the
good.
the
Narrating, sorry, not commentary.
the Acadians.
Yeah, dude, that was so sick. Like, I can't talk.
It was good.
It was good, you know. And I love a good story like that.
And that's the point. It was supposed to be a good story, and it was.
History
Any
is one of the best stories. Like,
oh, history is better than fiction, man. There's so many incredible. Well, to tie it back into Israel, Israel won a war that was declared on it by by Egypt, Syria, Lebanon, Saudi Arabia, and Jordan in 6 days. That's real. That's a thing that happened.
imagine what they could do with 7.
Well, they can't have 7. They have the Sabbath on one of those days.
I know.
That's assuming that every Jew in Israel observes it, which that is not the case, as evidenced by the music festival.
You know, it's the saying that, you know, God created the earth in 7 days. It took him 6 days to create it. On the 7th day, he rested, and that's why they call it the Sabbath. But there's actually one of my favorite songs, and he's talking about God, and he's saying that he's like it took him 6 days to create the earth, and on the 7th day he did what the fuck he wanted. And he was basically saying what he wanted to do. He said he's gonna work his ass off, but he's gonna take 1 day to take off. I was like, hey, I like it.
And then let's not forget the
That
book.
was Token, by the way, if anyone's curious.
And then let's not forget the Book of Annihilation, as told by Shao Kahn. The earth was created in 6 days,
And 2 shall it be destroyed.
and on the 7th day, mankind shall rest in peace.
That was good.
So the Cinema Sins did everything wrong with Mortal Kombat Annihilation, and holy crap, that moment he's like, did Shao Kahn just acknowledge the Genesis story in the Bible? Because if that's the case, I think there's a lot of hellfire about to be rained down on him right now.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah, that was, you know.
Well, you know what? To be fair, in the Mortal Kombat universe, there was a supreme creator being that was defeated by the Elder Gods. So that theoretically could be a thing.
Could you imagine?
That'd be so fucked up.
That would be so crazy. You know, that's like getting into the Spawn universe.
I hope that's not true, because if so, Raiden is going to zap my ass for all the shit I talked after the Mortal Kombat 2021 movie.
I'm fairly certain that Raiden wouldn't exist.
No, actually,
it would be the Christopher Lambert Raiden.
For real.
You know, where he's just like, just the way he sounded. And he didn't even fight in the movie. He's just like, and then threw a guy and flipped him.
You know what I liked about that, though? Raiden didn't have to fight in the first movie.
No, because he was feared and respected.
Well, not only that, technically he couldn't fight until the rules were broken.
I know, but the thing is, nobody knew to fuck with him because he was the god of.
That's true. I don't think so. Christopher Lambert's a badass. Sorry, not sorry.
There can only be one.
There's more than one Highlander, but
yeah, but the thing is, the one has to die in order for the Highlander to become Highlander.
no, they had in Highlander 2, they threw it all out the window with the quickening.
I don't know. I've never seen any other ones except the first
The
one.
first one's the only one worth seeing.
Christopher Lambert.
Well, he was in. To be fair, Christopher Lambert was in Highlander 2, but yeah,
See it. Anyone popping in? We're past main topic.
Yeah, and we don't mean to make light of it, but honestly, it does kind of feel good to. Again, I'm not Israeli. I'm not in Israel, obviously.
No, we're blessed to be in a country where we don't have to put up with the bullshit. So, like, any American that has, you know, like, all their woe is me and this is horrible. And it's like, dude, you could be living where they live and constantly worried if, like, you're going to be killed in the middle of the night.
Oh, which actually, that's one point I wanted to make about the Iron Dome. For anybody who says that Israel is going too far, the whole reason the Iron Dome exists is so they don't have to do military operations into Gaza because they have a defensive shield. That's the entire reason the Iron Dome exists.
And the Iron Dome is a masterpiece.
Legitimately just masterful technology. So much so, it's so smart that it doesn't target rockets that are going to go and land nowhere. It purposefully lets them land so they don't waste missiles. Like if it's just going to go into like if it's going to land in the desert somewhere, it just lets it go.
So basically it tracks them and then finds its trajectory and then it's just like, oh, it's not going to hit anything. Go ahead.
All within literal seconds.
Except that poor freaking swine out in the middle of nowhere. Fucking bacon everywhere.
Well, that's okay, because actually there shouldn't be any pigs in Israel.
I don't even know what we're talking about.
Well, because both Jews and Muslims can't eat pork.
I know, they don't eat pigs. Well, they don't eat them. Well, they probably still raise them.
No, why would they?
Just because you don't eat an animal doesn't mean you won't have that.
Well, I know, but pigs have no...
I mean, we have dogs and cats around constantly.
No, they can't even be around pigs, I don't believe. I know Muslims can't even be around pigs, and I'm pretty sure Jews can't either, or at least I know they can't eat them.
We eat pig, and pig is delicious, don't get me wrong. But they're like literally... Pigs and chickens are literally the most disgusting creatures that we eat.
They really are.
Like pigs, man, like they literally will eat trash, and they will excrete through their feet.
That's my understanding. Jews have a very specific reason for not eating pork. It's my understanding that, according to Islam, the reason Muslims can't eat pork is just because it's a filthy animal. Which makes sense. I mean...
Yeah, but, hey, we're all sinners, right? I'm eating the bacon. And, I don't even like pulled pork anymore. I can't stand pulled pork anymore. But I absolutely love pork steaks.
Oh, you gotta be kidding me.
What?
Israel does have pigs. They have annual production is about 200,000 pigs. There are currently...
It would make sense for them to send them out for slaughter to another country where they don't eat them because they're just not allowed to eat them.
Well,
and they can't raise them.
Well, and not only that, it's not like all Jews observe kosher. So,
right. But still, though.
Which, let's talk about tolerance for a moment. Israel is a Jewish state, and yet you just read something that is absolutely against Jewish law is a regulated and present industry that produces 200,000 swine, which is an animal that Jews are quote unquote not allowed to eat, and yet they allow people to do so
because they're not allowed to eat them.
Well, I know, but
they're not allowed to ride them.
Well, I know, but what I'm saying is that there are non-conservative Jews that probably eat pork.
Oh yeah.
But I'm just saying a Jewish state allows people to do that because, tolerance and all.
What's the difference between Orthodox and unorthodox?
Just observance of strict adherence to Jewish law.
So similar to different factions of like Christianity.
Yeah, I'd say the distinctions.
You got Lutherans, you got Baptists.
Well, I would say the distinction is probably sharper. And I could be wrong here, but I would venture to say that an Orthodox Jew is someone that follows all the laws set foot in the Holy Book, whereas a non-Orthodox Jew might pick and choose what they observe if they choose to observe anything. Because being a Jew is a little bit more complicated than just a religion, because it's not just a religion; it's also an ethnic group. It's a, it's kind of both. Well, I mean, it is both. It's not kind of both. It's both. But like, you can be a non-religious Jew.
The music industry.
I don't know. Some of them are probably religious.
Oh no, I just meant on Dewey Cox.
Oh God!
Remember, these fine Jewish men came here to hear you sing, and you were disappointed with your rendition of Pizza Pie. Or no, that's Amore. That's Amore.
Oh well. So I guess just in closing, Israel, just
hang in there.
Not even hang in there.
You're gonna be just fine.
In the long run,
are fighters. And I know that sounds like cliche, but it's true. You guys literally have a nation of freaking like Saiyan warriors.
Well,
even everybody goes through training. That's awesome.
Even before that, though, I mean, just they might take the they might take the title of the most resilient group of people just throughout history. They've, as a culture and as a people, they've survived 2 exiles, like
Genocide.
6 empires, you know, surrounded by enemies on all sides. The Holocaust, they survived, you know, and didn't just survive. Many places fought back actively.
It's like if you really want to like sit there and actually say like one group is God's chosen people.
I mean, they make a pretty good case. I'm just saying
how much they've been with their resilience and just will to keep on. Like, wow,
they make a pretty good case. Not gonna lie. It's absolutely fucking terrible what happened. But I'm just in awe of the measure and the resolve of the Israeli people. I can't think of another country, like I said earlier, I can't think of another country that would keep that level of restraint, having what's happened to them most recently and having the same level of restraint. I don't understand.
I'd be dropping bombs.
That's what I'm saying. It would be, and it would be so easily justified, and yet they're still, like, don't get me wrong, they're dropping bombs. Like, let's not mince words. They're dropping bombs, but they're still doing, they're trying to minimize civilian casualties.
From what I'm seeing is they're literally trying to preserve life and stand strong.
Oh, they're trying to eviscerate the animals that did this.
But the
rightfully
thing is,
so.
Though, like, you can't just go into a battle scene and just blow up everything, because you are going to have you're going to have quite a few casualties, like friendlies.
Yeah.
Because, not everybody gets the memo and like people will crawl forward. And
well, but then the question becomes, though, and I've asked this, not in this context, but I asked this before, how do you find an enemy that will not play by the same rules as you? They have no rules. Anybody who, like, I'm sorry, there's nothing left. There's no line that cannot be crossed now because they've already crossed it. How do you fight an enemy like that? You just have, without going down to their level, you just have to systematically, one by one, take them all out. And that's fucking hard. Because, yeah, the easy way would be to just drop bombs on Gaza until there was nothing left. But, I mean, you can do that, like, it's possible, but obviously Israel's not going to do that because, for many reasons. But,
shit.
I mean, I'm not even going to use it because there's no silver lining that can come out of this. Because even if peace is reached, this didn't need to happen to make that happen. So there's no silver lining here.
There's something going on.
Well, and there's probably one of the biggest controversies, other than what's actually happened, is the failure of intelligence. Because I mean, they did not see this coming, and there's a lot of questions. And I do not believe this, but Twitter being Twitter, there's people that are starting to kind of postulate that perhaps certain members of the government knew this was going to happen and purposefully let it happen to let things escalate.
I'm glad you mentioned that. I actually just read something. It was stocks, and it was essentially companies that produced things for certain types of, I would say, war.
The military industrial complex.
Yeah, just basically stuff for them. And the funny thing is, Congress members bought tons of this. I don't know if Congress. I'm sorry, I'm nixing that. It could have been their family, but anyway, people are buying a lot of stock into these companies right before the attack. And what happens to these companies when they have to produce a bunch of shit that is bought from the government? These companies' stocks go up. Therefore, they make money. They sell them. It's a never-ending cycle, and these people keep getting richer and richer.
Now
off of innocent lives.
Now you could. So, and the reason I don't think this is the case is because I'd be more inclined to believe that if military targets were attacked, a la kind of what happened in Ukraine.
No, I said innocent people.
Yeah, I know. I'm talking about like the not the false flag operations. What do you call that? Like where they let it happen. I just to be fair, I don't believe that. I'm just saying that there and perception is reality, right?
You mean
So
like 9/11? Excuse me, 9/11.
I'm sorry, I coughed. 9/11. No,
I know, right? Yeah, exactly.
I don't believe 9/11 was an inside job. I don't. Now,
You're sounding like Trump right there when old boy asked him if he believed Epstein killed himself.
no,
Did you
I
say that with a straight face?
I 100% don't
I
believe.
100% believe.
No, Epstein did not kill himself.
Oh.
You cannot. I cannot be because there's
But you don't think 9/11 was an inside job?
no, and that's probably because I'm at the end of the day I'm kind of an optimist and I try to see the good in people and I'm probably wrong in some cases.
I don't think anyone specifically, even within that administration, had anything to do with it.
So how would it be an inside job then?
Shadow government. Like, like everyone like laughs and scoffs at that, but the thing is, like, how the hell does all this like crazy stuff get done throughout the country?
Incompetence.
No, not even that. I'm talking.
Oh
like,
no, dude, it's a small miracle that our country still exists. Like
I mean, with the books in schools, like what we were talking about earlier, Senator Kennedy reading that book, and I made a short out of it and made light of it, and everyone thought I was against it. I was like, no, I don't want that shit in schools. I just thought it was hilarious.
that's harder to pin down because that I honestly think you have to take each one of those as a case by case basis because every individual has an agenda, every individual has motivations. Now, when you get into conspiracy territories, when you get a bunch of individuals with the same agendas and the same goals together, that's when you get into conspiracy territory. Now, a lot of these things look alike because a lot of shit looks alike, you know what I mean? But
That's racist.
I'm saying they're not all the same. It's the opposite of racism.
They say she's the same, but she's not the same. If anyone gets that reference, I got a $5 gift card I'll send to you.
Oh, but I guess, yeah, because I wouldn't say we're derailing, but
Oh. No, I mean for the most part, we try to come full circle and come back to it.
So what I was going to say, though, is I found about 5 different aid organizations that if you want to help Israel, you can basically donate. And then there's always the Red Cross or the Red Crescent, because I guess the Red Crescent, which is Egypt's version of the Red Cross, is sending humanitarian aid to the Palestinian people. So even if you're pro-Palestine and you want to help the Palestinian civilians, I guess you can give money to the Red Crescent. I can't guarantee whether or not Hamas isn't taking that money, and I don't know. I don't know if Egypt is giving the money to Hamas or if they're actually sending physical aid into Gaza. I don't know. Please do research before you donate anywhere, including the Organizations for Israel. But as best as I can tell,
Egypt was aiding Hamas.
well, with humanitarian, no, I don't. No, Egypt is not aiding Hamas directly. In fact, Egypt
Indirectly.
Well, no, I don't mean like they're not trying to aid them. What I mean is like if they're sending money or things into Palestine for civilians, if Hamas isn't just taking it.
Oh, okay.
That's what I mean. No, Egypt.
I just want to clarify.
Yeah, actually, I'm very glad you brought that up because Egypt is actually probably the friendliest it's ever been with Israel right now. Because for those of you who don't remember, during the Arab Spring, the Muslim Brotherhood was actually voted into power, and then they were ousted by a military government. And the military government is much, much friendlier to Israel. The Muslim Brotherhood was along the same lines as Hamas. They want to eradicate the state of Israel, and Israel was like on high alert for a while, rightfully so. So the Muslim Brotherhood was actually helping not Palestinians, sorry, they were helping Hamas, dig tunnels to funnel in goods and smuggle weapons. And then when the military government took over in Egypt, they started destroying the tunnels. I don't know why I laugh. It's like a complete 180. Because they were like, no, we don't want to go to war with Israel over you. So we don't want that shit. So they started filling them up with cement. They were blowing them up. They stopped the tunnels. But yeah, so we don't have those in the, if you're watching the live stream, we don't have those in the link now, but I'll get them up in there sometime tomorrow. So if you want to help the people of Israel, we'll have the links in there. And I highly recommend you watch, what day was that? I think it was Monday, actually. Sunday or Monday, that episode of the Ben Shapiro show. I believe the title of the episode was I Am a Jew. Or something like that. Yeah, I sent you. Actually, I can tell people exactly what it was because I sent it to you. I forgot.
Junk. I have to sit up. It's hot and shit in here now.
Yeah, I know. I've been talking too much. Oh, is The Face of Absolute Evil.
Yeah. He's done quite a few videos on this.
Yeah, that was the first one. Though.
I mean, rightfully so.
Yeah, if anybody's going
they're his people.
Yeah, if anybody's going to do it. But in closing, I'm not going to speak for you, but personally, I stand with Israel, and I stand with the Palestinian people. I wish them freedom from Hamas.
I stand with peace. Like, and I know it's just.
Well, I stand with peace, but I also stand with justice in this case. And frankly, there can be neither.
America freaking quote.
Well, no, but there can be neither as long as Hamas is part of the equation.
Yep.
Because you cannot negotiate with someone that wants you to not exist. And I think certain people, even in the United States government, need to shut the fuck up because
you're not helping yourself by saying this.
You're not helping anyone.
Because for one, you people, for the most part, within Congress, you're voted in, and your voters are listening.
Unfortunately, a lot of their voters must agree with them.
I don't know, dude. I'm starting to think like everybody was talking about how corrupt Ukraine was, and still is. Like, obviously, it's speculation, but
well, no, a lot of them got caught.
Well, I'm not. I'm not talking about prior. I'm talking about now.
I know a lot of them got caught.
I'm just like,
see, here's the weird part though. I don't think Zelensky is corrupt, but I think he can't manage it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of top officials in his government got caught basically taking that money, and they got fired.
Well, America's corrupt right now. We're corrupt as fuck.
Oh yeah,
right
100%. Our president
are so corrupt right now.
Our president's corrupt as fuck.
Like, and like you can get all crybaby ass bitch all you want, but like he's corrupt. Like, and I'm not gonna say Trump's not corrupt, but like to that degree,
Trump.
He's not. I don't think he would sell out his own country.
No,
because the thing
I don't
is,
think so.
This is the country that's made him. Like, why would you bite the hand that feeds? And that's exactly what Biden is doing. He's biting the hand that feeds, because if we don't have a country, do you think those people that you're selling us out to are going to save your life? No,
oh no,
they're gonna kill you.
They're gonna leave you hanging out to dry.
So like I don't understand that. That's like, I don't know.
All I'm looking for, well, I'm not looking forward to it, is about 20, 30, 40 years from now when all the shit gets declassified and it's no longer controversial, and we're just going to be like, oh shit, we were right. Look at that. I'm not looking forward to 2024. I think it's going to be an absolute. I mean, I kind of am, because it means potentially the end of the Biden administration.
If Republicans don't get behind one candidate,
oh god, and they're going to do it.
It's going to be mixed.
They're going to shoot themselves in the face. They already have.
Yeah,
by getting rid of Kevin McCarthy.
Oh no, they should have got rid of him. Jim Jordan should have been the speaker from the get-go.
You do realize that Jim Jordan wanted McCarthy to be speaker, right?
Yes, because the thing is, he didn't want to do it. Like, I'm assuming, I've heard some things about McCarthy, and so lay it on me.
If it comes from Matt Gaetz,
no,
don't believe.
I don't listen to Matt Gaetz very often.
Okay, so
he
here's
says things I like sometimes.
Like, okay, I understand Kevin McCarthy's not perfect, but you got how everybody's giving Nikki Haley props for being like, you have to be realistic. That was McCarthy's MO. Like, Gaetz wants things that just cannot happen right now. Like, he's criticizing McCarthy for
but why did everybody vote to remove him?
Well, not everybody did, so it was
enough to remove him.
It was every Democrat in the House and about 8 Republicans, including Gaetz.
So then that's why it was easy for it to happen.
Exactly.
Even though, like, McCarthy was working with the Democrats.
Exactly.
That's why I didn't.
It's
I didn't trust him because the thing is, he was trying to like smooth over deals that shouldn't have been smoothed over.
well, but okay. So here's and this is why I don't. This is why I particularly don't like Matt Gaetz. So, Gaetz was bitching about basically like the appropriations bill to keep the government open, right? McCarthy had a better deal first. Gaetz voted against it and then criticized McCarthy for making a worse deal.
Well, wasn't there something within it that nobody agreed with?
No, so Gaetz claimed that there were backdoor deals with Democrats about more funding for Ukraine, except he can't prove it.
It wasn't in the bill?
No, because McCarthy got it passed through the House. No additional funds for Ukraine on this one. It was a stopgap bill that pushed it through to November. But Gaetz is saying, well, yeah, but you were meeting with Democrats behind closed doors. No, he wasn't, or at least prove it. Because McCarthy says, no, I wasn't. So you just got Gaetz out there saying shit. And that's why everybody in the fucking House is laughing at him, because he gets up there and says shit, and it's like...
So it's bizarre, like, and how they vote in the speaker.
Yeah.
Like, that blows my mind. That should be like an American voted freaking...
Well, no, I get it, because the speaker doesn't hold a tremendous... I mean, there's some power, yes,
there's not a whole bunch.
It's not a ceremony. It's like what do you say? It's a functional position. So basically, what Gaetz is doing is he's removing a more moderate. He's removing a Republican that's quite moderate, and he's going to get another Republican that's pretty moderate. It's going to be more of the same now. And I'm one of these people. I think Gaetz just doesn't like McCarthy for some reason, probably because McCarthy embarrassed him, on the floor. And I think he's holding a grudge, and I think that's incredibly immature and stupid because, like you said, if Republicans need to play the long game right now, and Gaetz is playing not even the short game, Gaetz is playing the game of, like, if I hit my head against the wall hard enough, maybe something will happen. It won't. All you're doing is delaying shit and splintering the party. Because virtually every Republican, save for the 8 that voted against McCarthy, were basically like, no, why are we doing this? We don't want to eliminate McCarthy, but you have to go through the process. And now we're just wasting time. I wouldn't be surprised if Gaetz was doing this at the behest of Democrats for the sake of getting some position later down the road.
Well, what doesn't make any sense to me is you said 8 Republicans.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a ton of like support for him for removal, like
amongst every Democrat in the House.
No, like I heard it from like a lot of Republicans in the House.
Hang on, I'm gonna look up numbers real quick.
I want to say Chip Roy was one of them. I want to say.
I thought Chip Roy didn't.
I can't remember. I think he was being considered.
The House, yeah, he was being considered. The House voted 216 to 210 to oust McCarthy.
Yeah, but they've already got someone in place. Who was?
No, he dropped out of the race. They don't have one yet.
I thought they had a guy that was basically he had more votes than Jim Jordan. Which actually, I don't even think Jim Jordan's in the. I don't even think he's in the running.
Well, there's an interim House Speaker, but they don't have an official one yet.
Okay. So who would that be?
Shit, hang on. Patrick McHenry.
I think he's the one who's okay.
He's the interim Speaker.
Okay. I think Jordan just needs to just run. He just needs to say, yeah, okay, I'll do it. Everyone would vote for him.
Well, I know, but the whole reason McCarthy got it is because Jim Jordan didn't want to do it.
Well, Jim Jordan was in a position where
Jim Jordan's more moderate than McCarthy.
I know, and the funny thing that's why a lot of people liked him.
Well, that's why a lot of people McCarthy because he was more moderate in his dealings, but he was conservative minded, but he knew what hills to die on.
He was religious, or I'm not religious. He was realistic.
Yeah, well, he knew what hills to die on, and Ukraine funding, ironically, was one of them, because they were trying to keep the government open, and he knew that would have been a political defeat for Republicans. And here we go again with optics. So he knew that even though it's not accurate, because Border Patrol agents would still get paid and still be on duty, but the support staff wouldn't be. at the border, and he knows the optics of that. So he didn't want the Republicans going into an election year to get blamed for another government shutdown. But where he put his foot down was he said there is no additional funding for Ukraine in this particular, agreement to keep the government open and push it until November. Then we can hash it out when we have more time. Now, there's probably going to still be some funding for Ukraine, but they're going to try to lessen that, essentially.
And see, $1 is too much.
I disagree. I don't think $1 is
we've
too
sent
much.
too much money. Like, we don't have money here.
Well, what I think should happen
We're
is
broke.
I think that now funding should be contingent because now they've been caught abusing it.
I'm talking I hate to say it like this, until we're caught up, all humanitarian aid across the world is cut off.
We can't, though. That's not realistic.
Why can't we?
Because people will die.
Will they?
Yes, they will. They absolutely will.
I'm not okay. I'm not trying to be insincere, but like these people. I'm sorry, but take care of yourself. We're kind of fucked right now.
That's much easier said than done. But just even talking about Ukraine, what I think should be the policy going forward is, like, you're going to keep funding Ukraine, but now because they've been caught basically stealing money, is now, you thought oversight was a thing before. Holy shit. Like, now we're going to
be scrutinizing everything.
We're going to send the IRS on their asses. Audit you, the Ukrainian government. I wouldn't be opposed to that.
Can we do that?
Yeah. Ironically, by doing what everybody criticized Trump and Biden both for doing, is basically which it's not illegal. These funds are not blank checks. They are contingent.
What are they contingent on?
On auditing where you're spending the money. And if anybody's caught stealing, then you pay that fucking money back, or it comes out of the next, or we cut off funding entirely. Like, that's a risk you take.
That's what I'm saying. That's exactly
now, see,
what
here's
I'm
the
saying.
thing. Could you imagine this now? If that's the case, and then higher end politicians get caught stealing money, they'd be publicly executed.
I'm just saying, 5 years, no spending outside of the United States, and everything. Literally, the only thing we spend money on is roads, schools, and like shit within our own country. I guarantee our deficit.
You don't even have to cut off humanitarian aid to do that.
I'm just saying, you cut out all that stuff.
Well, but you don't.
Like,
I guess my point is, you don't even have to do that. The government is just terrible at spending. Now, I think
that's exactly what I'm getting.
I think foreign aid should all start being audited because, like, for example, why would we send money to Hamas?
And on top of that, why are we sending so much money when other countries could do?
That's the other thing, and that's what I think Trump would have done.
And he's right about it.
First of all, I don't think Russia would have invaded in the first place if Trump were still president. But let's just say, for the sake of conversation, that he did. I think he would have been like, "Listen, we're going to send. We stand with Ukraine. We stand with President Zelensky. But so does NATO, and NATO really needs to kick it up. Germany's the third largest economy in the world. They can afford to spend a little cheddar. Send some cheddar. They have great cheese in Germany. I don't think it's cheddar. What's a good German cheese? Send some of that.
German chocolate.
German chocolate, cheddar. Let me get that. Send them that bacon, egg, and cheese.
He was going to go into town. Give me that cheddar.
Give them that bacon, egg, and cheese.
Oh, man.
You like McDonald's? I love McDonald's. Have myself a Big Mac and a Diet Coke every day.
Well, Donald Trump, let's wrap this up. I'm burning up.
Oh, sure. Now he joins.
Italian cake.
Fun fact, Italy was under the direct control of, well, not Germany, but the Germanic state for a very long time. Italy as an independent nation is actually quite young in the scheme of things.
Work sucks. I know.
You're excused.
I generally work in the mornings now.
I noticed that.
I try to stick to the morning times. I can make more money at night, but I prefer to be at home with my family and playing with my kids and whatnot.
Priorities, like the United States needs desperately right now.
Prioritize.
Alrighty, well, thank you for enjoying this episode of the Average Intelligence Podcast. I know we kind of derailed, but I think we did a decent job considering we didn't really have a guide.
And honestly, those are the best.
Yeah. That's what I want. I've said it before. I'll say it again. I want to get to the point where we just say Average Intelligence Podcast episode whatever, and then we just like, and then if we have a guest, we name the guest. But other than that, it's just like you tune in for the show, and then we go wherever we want to go because we do that anyway. But like always, please like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. And thank you to all of our new subscribers. Hopefully you enjoy the content. But Orwell, what does that say?
Trump 24.
Yeah.
24.
What does it say after that?
I don't know. The heart's in the way.
Oh, but for those of you who just recently subscribed, hopefully you enjoy the content, but we apologize in advance for disappointing you. And as always, if you prefer to listen to the podcast rather than watch it, which why would you? I mean, YouTube's the best. But just in case you have a different preference, we will accommodate you because you can listen to the podcast on virtually every audio podcast platform, including but not limited to Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music. Now on TikTok with certain podcasts, you can now upload full-length podcasts. It's weird. It's very dicey.
Rumble too.
Oh, yes. And you can catch us on Rumble, which is kind of like our backup platform in case we ever... I'm shocked our previous episode didn't get banned. I thought for sure
Maybe
it was
wasn't
going to.
as bad as we thought.
Apparently not. I mean,
or
we're just...
enough people haven't seen it.
No, I mean, it's
got quite a few views.
Yeah, it's got a few. I'm surprised. Actually, I'm surprised the Republican debate is still up. But actually, we did get a copyright strike, but the copyright owner allows it to be on YouTube. So
that shit makes no sense.
Well,
it's
no,
like, why even say anything?
Well, I get it.
It's like, hey, you're not in trouble, but just to let you know, you're kind of in trouble, but not in trouble.
Yeah, I get it. It's just letting you know, like, somebody else owns the footage, but they said it's okay. I get it. But frankly, presidential debates should be like quasi-public domain. I can see them not wanting you to just upload it, right? But when you've got commentary attached to it, I think that's fine.
Well, yeah, because then that becomes
it's
critique.
Yeah, but it kind of blurs the lines with free use because we did show the whole thing. But
well, also we're not monetized, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, so I bet you we couldn't. I don't know.
We couldn't monetize it in the future.
Yeah,
but we can use it.
But actually, that brings me to my next, and then other audio podcast platforms, you know them. Which our viewers, we need your help. We are on the verge of getting to the first tier of the YouTube Partner Program. We're almost halfway there in terms of watch hours, which is the only thing we have left to do. So we're closer to actually getting long-form watch hours, not shorts views. So we definitely appreciate the support on both. But if you could, just go back and watch the long-form podcasts. Help us get that watch time up so that we can expand our offerings and our services because we're very close to being able to offer things like super chats, links to like our store products. What's the other benefit they have? I can't remember.
Being paid for content?
Well, no, you don't get page ads with that level. Although if you just go ahead and get us there too, we would really appreciate that. So we're on the verge of being able to have memberships, supers, and those shopping links. Now, if we get to the point where we have memberships, remember that AIP Plus shit we were doing? We'll start that up again. And we will have a couple membership tiers, and we will make it absolutely worth your while. So help us get there, and we will reward you with more content, more of the stuff you want. Just tell us what you want. Tell us what you want, damn it. We can't read your mind. So anyway, we are currently at 1,232 public watch hours. We need to get to 3,000. Actually, we need to get to 4,000, but 3,000 is the next milestone. So help us, please. Help us help you. We're not even asking for money yet. Just watch it.
Yeah, right. We're trying to crowdfund.
Oh, no, believe me, I would love to get to the point. We never want to get to the point where it's like all about the money, but I would love to just have the comment section so filled up that we have to be like, hey, listen, we're only responding to super chats because there's just too many of you.
I was thinking about reaching out to a bunch of different microphone sponsors and just trying to like get some better microphones, like our microphones are decent, but the thing is like if we had actual ones with XLR cables and whatnot, they would just be more clear, concise.
It'll come.
It'll come, but the thing is,
It'll
you
come.
know, I figured reaching out, hell, why not? Worst thing they can say is no.
It'll come.
I've seen a couple emails.
We already have sponsors.
We do.
We do. We just didn't mention one for this episode for obvious reasons.
The sponsor of tonight's episode is
Israel.
Average Intelligence Productions. This is our sponsor.
This is it.
We sponsor our own video tonight.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
Anyway.
That was your parting gift. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye, and
God bless. And actually, no, like, just pray for Israel. Pray good thoughts, whatever.
pray for Israel, support
whatever you
Israel,
feel.
pray for the Palestinian civilians. Basically, just
Pray for peace.
pray
How
and
about that?
yes, that's yes.
Miss America style.
Who was that one Miss American contestant who like went on this diatribe about maps and she like had no fucking idea what she was talking about?
Oh, no idea.
It wasn't that long. I think it was like 2011. So actually, yes, it was that long ago. But anyway, that was funny. Anyway,
12 years.
God, I'm old. Good night, all. I'm going to sleep.
Good night. Bye-bye.